Good evening, I'm Jackie Spate. Police Commissioner Brigadier Ioane Naivalurua has defended his men's actions, which resulted in the hospitalization of the 5 escapees recaptured in the past week. The escapees suffered injuries which police say resulted from resisting arrest. Police claim the friendly forces applied reasonable force on the escapees to overcome them.
Commissioner of Police Brigadier Ioane Naivalurua was responding to a government statement this week that he does not condone the excessive force used in the apprehension of recaptured prisoners who escaped from the Namboro prison recently. Naivalurua says government's policy and the law in this regard are clear, but
we send people out, we tell them this is what you'd expect, and also brief them on what they should be able to do. Okay? In this particular case, it was not a peaceful situation, so to say. So as such, we needed to be prepared to be able to achieve the mission. Achieving the mission was simply to recapture. And in the process of recapture, there are things that we must do.
Naivalurua says it's important that the public understand the situation the friendly forces were faced with.
This is the other scenario. If people expect us to go in with a tambua and a sebu, that would not have happened. We all know that. They have terrorized the country for a week, and the appropriate action and plans were put into place. And as such, they had to carry out the mission.
The Chief of Police maintains support behind his men and success of the mission to recapture the 5 escapees.
So as you said earlier, the law is clear on the assault of people, but then your officers were involved. But do you think you will take them to task on this?
In everything that we do, there's also an after-action report, see? And that will be done. But what I would like to state clearly today, when I send my people out, I support them all along, all the way.
But necessary inquiries will take place?
Of course, that's a normal process.
If it means it's, someone has to be answerable?
That'll have to be determined later. But the issue here, what it must be made clear to the public of Fiji, we had a difficult situation and we sent in people to do their job, and the mission was successful, and I fully support that particular mission.
There have been much talk about the recapture of the 5 escapees, one of which is a rumor that 2 of them have died as a result of their recapture by security personnel.
That's all bullshit.
Nothing is true about that.
That's my answer. All bullshit, not true.
Mikalonga, FBC News.
People living close to the Nambora Correction Centre are now calling on authorities to put a stop to prison breakouts. This follows fear among residents whenever inmates are on the run from the correction centre just outside Suva. Mikalonga has more.
Residents here have had numerous experiences of prison breakouts. Rosalind Aruna Devi stays home alone when her husband and children are away at work. She has had numerous experiences with prison escapes.
One time, one prisoner just escaped from here, and he was hiding at our place in the river there. We saw it, then we called the prison officers, they come and catch it.
Uma Amrit Singh lives not far from Devi. She says the recent escape of 5 prisoners left them terrified.
When the prisoners don't run away, we just open the door all the time. Open 6 o'clock, close 8, 9, 10. But when the prisoners run away, during the day, we close the door.
We got bell up. Before we used to wake up 4 o'clock, we go bell up. When the prisoners escape, we are afraid. We wait for the sun to come when it's, then we go to the bell up. We are afraid they might be hiding somewhere.
Residents here have sleepless nights and worried of their security and livestock when there is a prison breakout. They call on authorities to help allay their fears.
Assistant Corrections Commissioner Operations Sairu Singona says the escape of prisoners is part of life behind bars. However, he assured residents they are doing all they can to minimize inmates breaking out. The 5 inmates who escaped from Namboro Minimum Correction Centre have been caught after 8 days of search. Mikalonga, FBC News.
The glue menace has reared its ugly head. This as a suburb in Nasinu is fearing that the groups of youths indulging are not only harming themselves, but the community as well. Shelvin Chand looks at the substance abuse problem which has some residents living in fear.
This is Duvula Street in Nandera, seeming normal in the day, but as night falls, these steps become the center for children as young as 10 who indulge into sniffing glue. These drains next to the temple are evident of what happens here. Police say this is a grave problem.
When it comes to the issue of bush fishing and especially involving our children, of course, it's a very serious issue and something that we're all concerned about. Something that you just highlighted, that if this is an ongoing problem that is apparent in our community and people are aware of it.
Residents spoke to FBC off camera, fearing that the small gangs would retaliate. One resident said the last time a complaint was launched, they became targets as windows of their home was broken. Police says not to fear and provide them with information.
We've had reports of it coming to us and previously, but if this is something that's once again surfacing, then we would really advise members of the public to come and help, inform us of this problem, even if they're aware of the situation in their neighborhood, so that we can come and help.
However, the cops say glue is not a banned substance. Affordability and availability at local shops make it accessible to just about anybody. Police are calling for a joint effort with the community before we have mass cases of youths losing their lives because of sniffing glue. Shalvin Chan, FBC News.
The Nandi Weather Office is warning people living in low-lying areas of possible flooding due to a trough of low pressure. Heavy rain is expected in most parts of the Western Division, Kandavu and Vatulele, with weather expected to improve towards the weekend. Christopher Chand reports.
The Weather Office is often criticized for failing to give enough warnings before a natural disaster. Today, they've admitted they failed earlier this year.
Some of those criticisms were correct. The last flood in March was issued late, the warning, and I don't want to dwell on this because we have moved from there. But we would like to say that we were not responsible for flood forecasting then.
After the events in March, the government approved the flood forecasting unit to be moved into the meteorology office. Before this, a longer process of issuing flood warnings existed.
The flood forecasting unit mandate is now with the Director of FBC. So we will go directly to the people, rather than going with Water Authority, going to National Disaster Management Office to the public.
So this makes it quicker to...
Much quicker, a lot quicker, and we'll go directly to the people.
Today, an alert for heavy rain has been issued as this trough moves slowly across the country. But the Weather Office says people should not panic.
No one should be worried. Worry can bring panic. The people should be prepared. It's very important that people understand what the weather does and what the weather can do. And people need to be weather conscious.
With a heavy downpour forecast for later today, people are being warned to be ready. Christopher Chand, FBC News.
Meanwhile, Suva also experienced heavy rain this afternoon. No flash flood warning has been issued for the Central Division. However, people are urged to take precaution. Motorists are also urged to take extreme precaution while driving.